The $60 dilemma: why Michigan nursing home residents deserve more. Let's start with a simple question. What can you buy with $2 a day? Not much, right? Maybe a snack, a bottle of water, certainly not a full meal, not a phone bill, not a winter coat. Now imagine that $2 a day is all you have to spend for everything you need outside of food and shelter. Your toiletries, your clothes, your haircut, and your ability to call your family, all of it has to come out of that. That's the reality for approximately 40,000 nursing home residents in Michigan. Right now, Michigan's personal needs allowance, that's the money that Medicaid-funded residents get to cover their personal expenses, is stuck at $60 a month. That number hasn't gone up in decades, and yet the cost of everything around us has skyrocketed. This isn't just a small inconvenience. It's forcing some of our most vulnerable residents into impossible choices. How big is the need? Well, think about your last trip to the store. Imagine you have exactly $60, or rather $54 after paying for sales tax. Now, let's add up the basics. Your favorite shampoo and deodorant? That's at least $10 to $20. New socks or underwear? Another $10 to $20. A phone bill to stay in touch with family? That's $40 if you're lucky. A small gift for your child or grandchild? That's another 10 or more. The money runs out fast, and that's before we talk about things like haircuts, stamps, a newspaper, or even a snack or something for comfort. Now imagine you're trying to save for a $50 winter coat on that $60 a month. That could take years. And if you think family can cover the difference, remember, many residents don't have that support. They rely entirely on their P&A. They're stuck. This isn't some abstract policy issue. This is happening right now all over Michigan. There are nursing homes in nearly every community. No matter where you live, there are people just a few miles away making these choices every single day. Many of these residents have no other source of income. They're not allowed to work. They can't work. They can't supplement their allowance. And many are elderly or disabled, meaning they have even fewer options for getting by. Let's put this in context. Other states have already taken action. In Alaska, the personal needs allowance is $200 a month. In Wisconsin, it's $130 a month. Even in Texas, it's $75. Meanwhile, Michigan's rate has been stuck at $60. Why? Not because costs haven't gone up, not because residents don't need it, but because the system hasn't updated. Let's take a step back. The federal minimum for this personal needs allowance was set in the 1980s, and since then, inflation has risen by over 270%. What $60 could buy in the 80s is nowhere near what it buys today. Back then, $60 could cover a month of small essentials. Today, it barely covers the basics, and yet we're still expecting residents to survive on the same amount. Now let's talk about what this really means, because it isn't about numbers on a page. It's about real people, people who work their whole lives, people who paid into the system just like the rest of us, people who raised families, who served in the military, who worked in our communities, and now, after everything they've given, they're being told, no, you can't afford a haircut. No, you can't replace your socks. No, you can't call your family this month. What does that say about us? What does it say about how we value our elders, our veterans, our disabled community, our most vulnerable neighbors? We talk a lot about dignity and respect, about how we should treat people, but right now our actions don't match our words. What would it take to fix this? That's the good news. This is fixable, and we're not talking about billions of dollars. We're not even talking about hundreds of millions. If Michigan increased the personal needs allowance by just $40 more per month, it would cost the state $19.2 million a year. That is less than 0.05% of the state's Medicaid budget. That's a tiny fraction of what the state already spends, but it would make a massive difference in the lives of thousands of people. For just $40 more per month, residents could afford basic hygiene products without having to sacrifice something else. They could replace old clothes and shoes when they wear out. They could stay connected with family without having to choose between a phone bill and extra food. They could feel some autonomy in their own lives again. This is not just the right thing to do. It's one of the most cost-effective policies to help people that Michigan could possibly pass. Other states have done it. We can too. So now the question is, will we? Because this isn't about just helping some people in nursing homes. This is about our values. It's about how we treat people when they're at their most vulnerable, and whether we believe in dignity, not just words, but action. Let's be honest. Every one of us will grow older. Some of us will end up in a nursing home. Some of us will need Medicaid. And when that day comes, what kind of system will be there to greet us? Because right now, the system is broken. We have got to fix this, and we have the power to. We have the power to give back dignity. We have the power to restore basic humanity to the people who built this state. And it starts with something as simple, as small, and as reasonable as raising the personal needs allowance. So if you agree that $2 a day isn't enough, here's what you can do. You can call your legislators, tell them it's time to act. You can talk about this issue, because most people don't even know this is happening. And you can support the increase in the personal needs allowance, because this isn't charity. This is basic decency, and it's time. Let's fix this.